5, 6, 7, 8. All right, I've got all right. And then what are my three encores again?
Good Vibrations.
Assassinations.
Short and Bread.
Hey everyone, my name is Jake, and welcome to the second season of Good Timin. We hope you've all had a great summer so far, and we're looking forward to having some more great Beach Boys discussions together over the coming months. So, for this first episode of our second season, we thought it would be fun to try something a little unique and different from usual. So today, we're going to be doing what we're calling a live show draft, where each of us are going to select 12 songs to kind of make up our ultimate Beach Boys concert set list and performance. But unlike our previous album draft episodes where we collaborated and created one big list of songs together, today we are each going to be building our own individual set lists. So once a specific song has been drafted, the rest of us are not allowed to include it in our own set lists. There's also some additional rules that allow for us to be kind of creative with our song selections, as well as the details of our fantasy concerts. But to get into those, I'm now going to hand it over to Riley, who came up with the idea to do this episode. So Riley, do you want to explain some of the additional ground rules for our draft?
I'm just gonna read them as I have them. That way, it's everybody has an idea, and I mean, I'm sure if people want to follow along, they definitely can. I feel like that'd be fun. It took a lot for me to make this list because, truth be told, even though we are picking 12 songs, you had to have at least like 30 ready. So I mean, I'll just get started. So each person is set on making their own live Beach Boys performance. Ideally, this performance will take place like mid to late 70s, maybe early 80s. You'll have each of the 5 classic members there. But even though it's 1974 to 1980, whatever, you could pick any song in the Beach Boys catalog, whether it's like an outtake or if you're going as far back to like Brian's earliest stuff with Height and Morgan, or Height and Dorinda Morgan, and then you can go all the way to, I don't know, Unleash the Love. I don't think any of us are picking that, but if you guys want to, that's fine. So it is a fantasy world with Disney girls. The hardest part, though, is once I pick a song, or Matt picks a song, or Jake picks a song, nobody else can pick that song. So if I pick God Only Knows, neither of them can pick God Only Knows, and I have that song for my set list. And so it won't drag on. It's going to be a 12-song set list with potentially a 3-song encore. Initially, I was thinking maybe we can just copy the Nebworth album with the amount of songs picked, but then we'd be here all day, and that would get really boring after about 5 hours of recording. So we're not doing that. Plus, you can kind of imagine this more like a Coachella performance where they're just doing like 12 songs and they call it a night. We are allowed to pick 2 covers. We can do one that the Beach Boys covered in their albums. So maybe first one that comes to mind is Louie Louie, maybe not the best example. Or maybe you could do Little Girl by Miss America. And then you also get a fantasy cover if you want to add to it. So like maybe you want them to do Big Girls Don't Cry by the Four Seasons. I'm not picking that one, but if you wanted to do that, and then you can also make anybody sing that song. So if you wanted 1977 Dennis singing Big Girls Don't Cry, you can do that. Just to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more unique. You can also make any altercations to the songs, and we'll have a little time at the end for us to like tell you how our concert would go. So if you want to do fun, and make Al sing lead and have Billy Hinchy do a 5-minute keyboard solo, go right ahead. At the very end, we will give you the year of our show, the venue, and the order of our set list. And after presenting our set list, you, the viewers, will get to pick who had the best concert set list. It's going to be me.
It's gonna be May, right? Yeah, it's gonna be you. I know, probably.
All right, so who wants to start us off here for the
Riley, why don't you start us off because it's
All
your
right, good.
whole thing.
I need you guys pick this song. I'd go to Florida and Wisconsin, not with Chicago, and fucking kill you. I Get Around. I think you guys saw this coming, but not just because it's my favorite Beach Boys song, my favorite song like ever written. I just think it's also just a great concert song. I know it's a really tight group effort. Like they're each doing pretty significant stuff, playing the guitar, bass, piano, and singing over that. I think it's a really complex song, but at the same time, it just rips live. And even though I fucking hate the Red Hot Chili Peppers and I hate their cover, I will give them credit. That is a super hard song to perform live, and it gets most people going whether they know the song or not. So I pick I Get Around.
So I'm gonna choose. This is a bit more of a deep cut. Mine will probably be a little bit more deep cut heavy. Here She Comes. I love that song. I just got Carl and the Passions on vinyl. I absolutely adore that song. That is by far my favorite song on Carl and the Passions. I don't know if it was ever done live. I don't believe it was ever. It was.
It was a couple of times.
I don't know that. I'm not an encyclopedia on the Beach Boys set list, so I'll make that clear now. But It was not done live often. I love it.
Yep.
I love Blondie and Ricky on the track. I love their contributions to the group. I want it in my set list.
All right, so I was hoping that this song none of you guys would pick to start us off because I really, really wanted it. If there's one song I want included, I want it to be this one. God Only Knows, with Carl on lead. It's my favorite Beach Boys song. I would say it is my favorite song of all time. It's just a beautiful song. Carl sings it so beautifully. And then also for the live performance, I would want that short little instrumental bridge included. I know sometimes like the Beach Boys drop that from their performance because I think it's kind of hard to replicate that live. So I would want that included. But that's definitely the first song I would want included in my set list. So God Only Knows.
My next one that I was gonna pick was actually going to be Here She Comes. That was actually the next one I had. That's fine. I don't really care. Because I am going to pick Please Let Me Wonder. I feel like this is one that performed live actually gives it a bit more extra energy. I want to shout out the Sail On group. I saw live with Nate a couple of months back. When I saw that live, like it's already in my top 3 favorite Beach Boys songs, but hearing it live, I mean, you start to notice more of the nuances. So, like the 12-string guitar, really cool. So I'm picking Please Let Me Wonder.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, I'm gonna choose a song that I don't think they ever sang live. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Let Him Run Wild. Did they ever do that live? I don't think they ever did, right? Because Brian hated it. Well, I love it. I think it's one of Brian's best songs. I completely agree with Carl and Dennis that it's like a beautiful song. It's like the first time that you really hear it's very Bacharach inspired. It's like I know it's also a pretty complex arrangement, but I want to hear that arrangement live. I want to hear that song. And I think the way I'm putting my show, I think I want to do mine like around 1973. So I think Brian may still be able to pull it off before the voice started really getting bad. So I want Let Him Run Wild on my set list.
Yeah, I should mention before our audience corrects me for shaking my head that they did do it. Like Mike's band has done it before, I'm pretty sure, and they might have did it on the reunion tour too, like the 50th. But
I mean, like it was never done like when Carl and Dennis were alive.
Definitely no. Yeah.
No, so I want Let Him Run Wild.
All right, second one for me. This is another Carl lead vocal. I want Darlin' on my set list. Really great rocker from the Wild Honey album. Carl really sings it great. He had such a soulful voice on this one, and obviously a lot of the other tracks on Wild Honey as well. And I think that this song is one of their best live rockers. It sounded really great. I know on like the In Concert album from '73. I would definitely want Blondie Chaplin on guitar on this as well. I think that would be a great combo. So Darlin' for sure, I would want on my set list.
I'm gonna pick All I Want to Do.
From Sunflower?
Yeah, I feel like this one performed live is another one you'll notice a lot more of the subtle nuances with the song, like the guitar line, a lot more of like it gives it much more like you see it happen live and you kind of understand the song a little bit more as it's performed. I also feel like it's a great like mood changer. Like it's not necessarily like a super slow song, but it's a great way to kind of introduce those ballads and slower pieces, like Please Let Me Wonder from before. Also, I really want to hear Mike sing this live. I feel like it would sound a lot cooler.
Did they ever do that one live?
Probably.
That's another one. Only Mike's touring Beach Boys have done it. They did it a little bit around the time that Feel Flows came out, but that was it.
Okay, my turn. I'm gonna choose probably one of my favorite deep cuts on Pet Sounds. I'm Waiting for the Day. Absolutely love that song. I love like the timpani of the boom, 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 boom. Want to hear Brian sing this live for sure. Again, I don't know if this was ever done live. Don't think it was done live much. It was
a couple times in like '75. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, not much though. And I do apologize to the viewers again. I'm not an expert on live material. I don't really listen to live material often when I listen to the Beach Boys. So I'm gonna be saying that a lot. I don't know if it was sung live, but I want to hear it live. I love, love, love this song. It's probably my favorite deep cut on Pet Sounds. And honestly, like I still really love Pet Sounds, but I think I told you, Riley, earlier that like I think I listen to Pet Sounds too much. And so like I don't really come back to it as much as I used to. I really feel like I have to be in the mood to listen to it. Just because like it's so melancholic that it's like almost like sometimes a bit of a downer to listen to. I think sometimes depending on my mood. So, but I still really love this song, and I really still obviously appreciate Pet Sounds for what it is, and I want it on my set list because I love it.
Yeah, I believe when they did do that song a few times in the '70s, I think they had Billy Hinchy sing it, which is interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. You sent me a couple of recordings. I think I questioned that one of the episodes that we did. I was like, did they ever perform that live? Then you sent me like a couple of links. They're like, it's super muddy though, so you can tell.
Yeah. It did sound good. I think Billy might have messed up a few of the lyrics, but they hadn't performed it much, so that's understandable. So,
well, I want it full with the whole timpani and everything. Like it sounds as damn close as you can to the record.
All right, so for song number 3, I'm gonna go for a Pet Sounds track as well. I'm gonna go with "Don't Talk, Put Your Head on My Shoulder." I want kind of the stripped back arrangement that they did in the 70s live with just like the organ or the keyboard and just Carl's voice. For historical accuracy, I guess I'll say I want Carl to sing it because he did sing it so beautifully live. But if I could get Brian like with his like mid 60s voice, like at its peak, I would probably prefer to hear that version just because I think that would be so incredible to hear like mid 60s Brian singing a song like that live. It'd be really moving. But Carl did such a great job on it. On that bootleg recording I heard from the mid 70s. I'd love to hear him sing it as well. So "Don't Talk, Put Your Head on My Shoulder" I definitely would be a cool track to hear live, I feel.
All right. Which one am I gonna steal next so nobody else can take it? All right. So my next one, I'm gonna do "Long Promise Road." Great Carl vocal. And also, what I really want to do with this, I want to add like a little jammy section where, like in the song where you kind of have that little guitar solo. I kind of want to make that a little bit of a jam. Nothing like crazy, not like 12 minutes like I would usually like it, because I would like a good flow for this concert, especially since I'm balancing a bit of the 70s material and higher with some of the 60s stuff that I really like. But I feel like this will let Carl soar on vocals, but you also get a chance to see the live band really like power through some of the stuff with the jam. So maybe a little bit of Billy Hinchy keyboard.
Yeah, a little proggy action going on.
Not necessarily proggy, but like actually, a little proggy.
All right. I'm gonna choose another one from the 70s, "Forever." That I want that to be my Dennis showcase. I think he sang that song beautifully. There's so much emotion in his voice. It's such a haunting vocal. I love the version he did in the Central Park 71. I want something similar to that. Where he has like, he sticks at the keyboard, he sticks his little finger in his ear like there. I just love it. And I think it's probably Dennis's finest, one of his finest, if not his finest work, one of his finest works with the group. So I want it in my set list.
I had that one, man. I literally wrote in my notes too. I wrote early 70s arrangement live at Central Park.
That's exactly what I want. That's the version I
If
love.
the kicker would be is if you have like John Stamos at the piano and then Dennis comes out of nowhere and just pushes him off the bench and he's like, "This is my fucking song," and he starts playing it.
And like with his late 70s voice too. "This is my fucking song.
This is my song, bud."
That's like the, doesn't he do like the part in like, "Hey, what are you doing? Get out of my garage," or whatever, like on 15 Big Ones? It sounds like him. That little skit at the beginning of TM song, that sounds like Dennis.
Yeah, you gotta get Dennis shoving John Stamos off stage, and it's just like
But think of the eye candy for the middle-aged women, Riley.
that's what Dennis was.
I know, but now it's John Stamos.
All right, so I'm gonna pick a Dennis song myself, or at least a Dennis lead. In the back of my mind, from the Today album. I know the band did this a couple of times in mid 70s. There's a really, really rough bootleg of it, but Dennis does lead on it with his kind of rougher, more gravelly voice. And it's actually really moving. But I'd love to hear Dennis sing this in any era, honestly. He just sang it really well, and the lyrics are very moving, and it's one of my favorite Beach Boys ballads. So I would definitely want to hear that live. I think that would be really cool. Another one of those kind of deeper cuts that rarely ever got played. So I'd love to hear a song like that in person.
When Brian sang it for whatever in the mid 70s, didn't he add a part to it?
For the demo, he added like a whole new like bridge section, like that "in the front of my mind, I got nothing to worry about." That whole section was new. Yeah.
Are you gonna add that? I feel like that kind of enhances the song a little bit for me.
No, I'm okay with just the original version because the version that I heard, the bootleg, that alone I thought would be really cool to hear live. So, I could take it with or without that section, honestly. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna take "Breakaway" from the 1969 single. I feel like I've always said that this is a good song that bridges the styles between their like early mid 60s stuff and their later 70s like sunshine pop stuff. I also just think it's just a great song, and I don't know how many times they did it live. I know it was pretty big overseas in Europe, but I don't know how big it was in the States. Regardless, though, I think it's just a good, catchy pop song that'll like is a good crowd pleaser, and kind of keeps the flow of the show going. Plus, I mean, the harmonies on it are absolutely beautiful. So
that is a great song. That is a great song. It was not a huge hit here. I think it was like somewhere in the 60s. It didn't do that good here.
It was pretty good overseas though in Europe though.
It was huge in Europe, and I think it was pretty big in Australia too. I know "Cotton Fields" was massive in Australia. That was the #1 hit. No, it was seriously huge over there. Okay, I'm gonna choose a Carl vocal. Probably one of my favorites that Carl ever did, "The Traitor." Love that song. I love the lyrics. I know I've gone ad nauseum about it in our Holland episode. So, but I just love the lyrics. I love like how it has the two distinct parts. Like you have the more like up tempo part, then the more kind of mellow part in the second half. I actually would like to maybe have like a little bit of a jam section at the end of the song, just kind of maybe extend it for like another minute or two, just to kind of like have that nice little like kind of flow in between the elements. But I definitely want Carl to do the lead. Carl nailed the lead. Love that song. I want it on my set list.
All right, next one for me, going back to Pet Sounds, Caroline No. With Carl, I would say with Carl on lead again, just because I love that 73 in concert recording with the kind of stripped back arrangement and the flute and Carl's lead vocal. I think it's just a great performance. And again, another one of my favorite Beach Boys ballads, really moving, kind of heartbreaking lyrics, and one of the best songs Brian ever wrote, in my opinion. So that would be another lesser known song I would say that I'd love to hear live.
All right. I'm gonna pick Big Sur. I want the 4/4 arrangement though. It was tempting to pick the whole entire California saga and just like drop that in live. As cool as it'd be to see live, it would take up a decent chunk of my set list. So I'm gonna go with the Surf's Up Sessions version that we got on Feel Flows.
The 70s, the 1970
right.
version.
Plus, I think it would counter All I Want to Do and Long Promised Road really well. It kind of gives it that like similar quality production, and I feel especially on stage, and I feel like you can also like hear the guitar nuances on that one. And I also like to hear Mike sing that live. I know they did it a couple of times, but it was kind of following the Holland version. I'd really like to see what they could do with some keyboards and especially like keyboard sounds that are programmed and then on the guitars, and it'd be really cool to see how they would work that into a live setting, and I'm sure it'd sound really good, especially in 4/4. So picking Big Sur.
That's a good one. I'm gonna choose Wonderful, the Smile mix, similar to the one that Carl did in the 90s. I know it's on some box set where he would sing lead. It's like a little bit more stripped back, but it still has like it's like kind of a smile arrangement. That's the one I want. I'm admittedly not like I and I've said this before. I'm not like one of those like, oh, Smile is the best thing they ever did and everything else is not doesn't hand up. I don't really agree with that. I like a lot of stuff on Smile, but I still it's just for me the ultimate case of what could have been. But I do think Wonderful on Smile is amazing. I think it's a great early chamber pop song. It's just gorgeous. And I really enjoyed the version that Carl did. I think it was like around 93 when the Good Vibrations box set came out, and it was like a little bit more stripped back and he sings the lead. So I want something similar to that on my set list.
All right, I'm gonna go. So this is kind of the first time I'm kind of going into fantasy world here with my set list, because like I would kind of view this concert, like my ideal concert, as taking place in the mid 70s. So this would probably be a few years after the point that my ideal concert would be. But The Night Was So Young, with Carl on lead, I think that would be really cool to hear live. One of my favorite songs from Love You and from the band's kind of late 70s period. I honestly, this song, I think any arrangement would work. They could have the Moog there. They could also just do like piano and just Carl's voice. I just think the song is beautiful and would work with pretty much any arrangement. And I know Carl would probably do it beautifully live as well. So The Night Was So Young.
All right. I gotta add some faster songs in there. I feel like I've kind of been like mid-tempo ballad heavy.
Mine has definitely been mid-tempo ballad heavy.
All right, I'm gonna pick. Might be a little bit of a basic choice, but I'm gonna pick Surfin' USA. I feel like this is kind of definitely a crowd pleaser, but what I really want with this one is I want it to rip live. So I do kind of want maybe like not like a jam section, but like an extended guitar solo. Add some keys in there too. I feel like maybe you can push this song to, you might be pushing it to like 4 minutes, which I feel like will go by a lot faster since it's a really fast-paced song. And I know it's technically Chuck Berry, but it does have that Brian Wilson composer thing, so I hope you guys don't count this as my cover. But I feel like this is one that will especially rip live and could potentially be a killer opener if I don't get my actual opener. So, all right.
I think I'm gonna do. Here's a real oldie, Car Crazy Cutie. It's never done live, as far as I know. Don't think it was ever done live. I think it's a really good like doo-wop inspired song. I think it's really kind of shows off the harmonies well, like that run, a do run, right? Like that intro is great. And I think it's like a pretty underrated car song. And I think it'd be a cool place to see it done live and kind of give it a higher showcase. I don't know if Brian's voice would really be up to snuff. But I think he could do it okay. But I just feel kind of bad because I have like nothing with Mike on lead here. And trust me, I'm not a Mike Love hater.
Yeah, but you're a Riley hater with that choice. Fuck you.
All right. That was on your list?
Yeah. I didn't think anyone was going to take that. I was just going to put that as like one of my last choices. So like, I'm going to add Car Crazy Cutie in.
He knew I wasn't going to take it. So
No,
it's
I
up
knew
to
you
you.
weren't. No, and like, yeah, it's like
I didn't think you
put.
had the balls to take that, Matt.
Well, I had to put Here She Comes first 'cause I knew you were going to take that one.
All right. So
That's the whole point of this, though. I mean, I'm glad that we have some discourse because that means that the rules are working. They're doing their job.
all right. So for my next song, I'm going to the early '70s. All This Is That from Carl and the Passions. One of my favorite songs, honestly, in the Beach Boys catalog. I think I included it in my top 10 when we did the top 10 song ranking. For me personally, I would want the late '70s arrangement of this song. I know in the mid '70s they were doing it like around '74, but they were kind of playing it too fast, in my opinion. The late '70s arrangement, there's a recording of them doing it in Washington, D.C. in 1977, where it's more slowed down. It's like Carl's at the keyboard, and you got Al and Mike doing their vocals, and it's a really pretty version. So that's the version I would want to hear, except with Carl sober, because Carl was obviously intoxicated during that Washington performance. I wouldn't really want Carl to be drunk, but besides that, that's pretty much the version I would want to hear, like the late '70s. All This Is That. I think it's a really dreamy and pretty song. So I love the lyrics too. So.
That would be a hell of a song to perform live. I just like how you're talking about 10:03:58 Overture being done by ELO. Like
Yeah.
that's a deep cut that if you see that live, you are
Yeah.
so
I also want to mention I would want Charles Lloyd on saxophone as well, because he plays some really beautiful sax during that live '70s, late '70s version. So I would want him there too.
If you want to get really fantasy, you can get David Sanborn, or whatever that guy's name was, on the sax.
Or if you want to get really fantasy, you can get Mike Love on sax.
Oh,
well,
Lord.
then the song would be ruined probably, because
that's not a fantasy. That's a nightmare with him on.
You could just have a 2-note solo. Don't worry.
Then the 2 notes are way out of tune.
I love how like, those live recordings of them doing, what is it, Shutdown, and like Mike's doing the sax. It's like it's like 2 notes, man. Like, why does it sound out of tune?
All right. Next one I want to pick is All Summer Long. I feel like this could honestly fit anywhere in the set list. Ideally, I would like it at the end. I feel like that is one way to close a concert too, whether it's the main set or an encore. But even if you dropped it in the middle just to like transition some songs, I think that's one that, as popular as it is, you never really see them perform it live. At least maybe not them like their mainstay. So I would like before the Mike Love solo band, you know. But I feel like it would be a really cool one performed live, and you could fit it anywhere on the set list, and everybody would be pretty happy. And I feel like it's equally melodic, but it also has that touch of production that you can only really get in the '70s too. So I'd love to see what like no jam section, no solos, but I feel like it is a really cool song to do in the '70s with the expanded live band that they couldn't do all the way back in '64 or '65. So
I have to ask, Riley, did you listen to it leaving from summer camp this year?
yeah.
Because I know you mentioned in one of the very early episodes that you always listen to it every year after leaving camp. So I had to just check.
But the thing is, I listened to it. I was going to the airport to Hawaii, and so I actually listened to it like before I even started the car. I just like because I had a long drive to the train station, and then I also listened to "Good Night, Sweetheart" by the Spaniels, just as an extra nod to American Graffiti. So great song, one of my favorites.
All right. I'm gonna choose something that's a little bit not as deep as some of the other stuff I've been picking. Sail on Sailor. I think that's just a great way to I'd probably start the thing with that. I think it's one of the very few Beach Boys songs that actually got a lot of play on FM radio for good reason. It's a great song. It's another great opportunity because I want Blondie on my set list, so I want to hear him rip on that song. I want to hear it with the full band, nice and rich. So Sail on Sailor it is.
All right, so my list has been pretty ballad heavy so far. So now we're going to add another rocker. I'm actually kind of surprised Riley hasn't taken this one already, but Marcella from Carl and the Passions. This song rocks both on the album, but especially live with Carl on lead, Blondie on guitar. It's really one of the best like real rockers that they did. Because, you know, some of their songs, they have energy, but you wouldn't really call them a rocker. Whereas this one really does rip live. And it seemed to be like a crowd pleaser too. One of their songs that the crowd really did seem to enjoy, even in that '70s period when sometimes crowds were giving them a hard time and just wanted to hear the oldies. So I really like that song, and I'd love to hear it live. I think it would really rock. So that's the next song on my list.
All right, I'm picking Mona, and I am really gonna go into like the mid 70s period, I'm really gonna let them like jam out with this one too. I mean, I know the song is like pretty much just the same four chords repeated and just verse after verse, but I want like one of those one to like seven of those verses to just be them just jamming to the chord progression. I think it'd be really cool to see live. And I know they don't have all the synthesizers to really back them up, so I'm really curious how they would kind of execute this. I mean, I can really only imagine it so much. Definitely a lot of sax in there, lots of piano. I think it'd be a really cool song to see live. Also, really give the chance to let Dennis rip his vocal cords more than they already are. So,
How's about an 8 o'clock dinner?
I
um,
actually I actually could picture like the band doing like a guitar jam over that chord progression. I could totally picture that. I think it could work.
yeah, I mean, knowing the Beach Boys, they could probably like change it a little bit too if they have to, just for the jam. But like, let Mona go to 7 minutes. I would kill to see that live, and it is such a fun song that they absolutely could do that.
I'm picturing the crowd kind of being like a lot of the crowd being like, "What the fuck is this?" And you're like, "Yeah,
Hey, this is a concert for me. This is for nobody else. So this
yeah."
is what I want to see live. And I also think melodically, it's a great way to transition from the 70s stuff back to the 60s stuff. If you can kind of see where my concert's going.
So my next song, I'm picking another Carl song, Feel Flows. Love that song. I love like kind of the synthesizer mode, whatever you want to call it, like thing. I want to extend that even more. I want this to be a nice jam session. And I think I've always preferred it to Long Promise Road. So I really would love to hear it live. I think Carl will do a great job with the vocals, and I like Jack Riley's lyrics, and I just want that Moog synthesizer solo to be like twice as long as it is. So Feel Flows for me with an extended Moog synthesizer.
I can respect that. I knew you'd pick like Long Promise Road or something with Carl ripping and like a little bit of that proggy feel. So I picked
Yeah,
that one.
I like the like
You
the
could really
jams, and
swap
actually,
either one out and get the same enjoyment for me.
yeah, it's like it's funny because like on my private Discord server, we had an argument about that once where it's like I like people are like, oh, I don't like these long songs, they just go on forever. I'm like, I don't mind if it's interesting. And to me, that's interesting.
Oh yeah.
All right, so now we're going back to the early '60s for this next one. "Your Summer Dream" from 1963 from the Surfer Girl album. Really beautiful song. I think one of the most underrated ballads. For the live version, I would want it stripped back just like the recording, where it's just like some strumming guitar and just Brian's vocal. That would be so beautiful. Really moving song. One of my favorites from that early period, and I would absolutely love to hear it live. I don't think they ever did it, but it would be a really cool one to hear. So that's the next song on my list.
So yeah, I was gonna have a 3 song suite of ballads, and that was gonna fill it out.
Hmm.
So thanks.
Pick
If
something
I
else.
so since I can't pick it, I will say what I was gonna do. I was gonna have David Marks, who did the original guitar on that song, come out on stage and do it with Brian or Carl. And I feel like just like them two strumming and just playing the song, it'd be a great like acoustic setting, very like intimate. I feel like that'd be really cool. So if I can't get Your Summer Dream, I'll get In My Room. I feel like that's one that you can honestly just have the boys just go completely a cappella, and it would just sound just as beautiful as it would with instruments. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go a cappella with it. Maybe you can have like one guitar in the background, but I don't want anything else on it. I feel like that's a song that like that's like the quietest moment of the show, and you usually have one of those songs at a concert where it's just that quiet moment. So I would really like that, and that's a good spot to have in the ballads, and then you kind of grow from there back to a killer ending. So
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a great song. I'm gonna choose another Dennis song. This one from Holland, Steamboat. Love that song. Love how it's kind of like it has like the kind of I mean, it's not gonna be like this live, but it has the fade in and it kind of has like that like kind of like almost like proggy, I don't know what you want to call it, section where it's just like the boom, boom, boom. And I like the counterpoint between Dennis and Carl. I want to hear that live, like where Dennis sings the one melody and then Carl sings the main melody. So I really want to hear that one live. I've always really loved that song. And so I want it on my set list. So Steamboat.
All right, so the next song I was gonna say, it's one that I would honestly probably rather include in my encore, so I'm not gonna say it yet. So I'm gonna go with another one I wrote down. Let's go with one that they never did live. Let's do "Time to Get Alone" from 2020. I'd really like to hear that song live. I think one of the most underrated songs in the catalog. I love Carl's vocal on it. Love the melody. And yeah, it would just be a really cool one to hear live, considering that they never did it before. And I'd like to see how the band could do it. I feel like at this point in the mid 70s type concert, I really feel like they could do a great job with this. and maybe alternating a little bit, kind of like they did with Let the Wind Blow, where they changed the arrangement a bit. So I'd really like to see what they could do with it. So that would be the next one, I would say.
So we have 2 covers and we have 3 encores. For my cover, I'm gonna do "Be My Baby" by the Ronettes. I think that I think this was like the perfect song for them to cover, and then they just ended up doing their own song called "Don't Worry, Baby," which is fine because I'm glad we have that one too. But I think this was one that would be one hell of a song to see the Beach Boys cover, and I would really like to see Brian sing this one too. Ideally, you'd want to have like 63, 64 Brian sing it, but I think knowing him and just him enjoying it, I don't think it really matters which era. So I'm gonna pick "Be My Baby," and I think that's gonna be a hell of a song to come right after Mona. So because
You're really going for like mood whiplash there with that one, aren't you?
I planned that one. I planned that one.
So the song I chose, and I know I think I had mentioned this before, but it just sounds so Brian Wilson influenced in the production. I want to hear them cover Frankie Valli's "Can't Take My Eyes Off You." I love that song. I really want to hear that live. I think that'd be a cool one for Al to do, honestly. I think it'd be a great showcase for Al's vocals because he has the very versatile voice, and I think he could do it. So this would be my Al showcase. Because I would say Carl, but I already have a lot of Carl stuff on here, so I want Al to do I Can't Take My Eyes Off You.
I think you could probably arguably maybe not like late 70s Dennis, but like early 70s Dennis. I don't know if you'd have the range to do "I love you." So maybe you could have Dennis sing the verses and then Carl pull off the like "I love you, baby." That would be pretty cool.
Possibly. That we could consider.
But
And
also Al is like the cover king with the Beach Boys.
Al could do it really good, I think. And Al has such a versatile voice, and I don't have anything for him to sing. And again, it's nothing against Mike, but I think we'll call this is my revenge for him taking the Beach Boys to every single county fair from here to Timbuktu.
This time each year in our hometown, the county fair comes
It comes our way. Oh, that's our next episode.
Step right up.
All right. So for my cover, there were a few that I was considering. I kind of made a mini list of them. One that I was thinking about saying was "She's Leaving Home" by the Beatles, just because I feel like that's a really kind of like Beach Boys influenced track, like with the harmonies and the kind of the vocal and everything. I feel like Brian could do a really good job on that, like with like his mid-60s vocal. But I'm actually going to go with a more soulful song, "Isn't She Lovely" by Stevie Wonder. I would love to hear them cover. I think Carl, with kind of his R&B flavored voice, could do a really great job with that. You already had him do a Stevie Wonder song with like "I Do Love You" on Beach Boys '85, which Stevie Wonder wrote. So I feel like Carl and Stevie Wonder was a good blend. Obviously, "I Was Made to Love Her" was also a Stevie Wonder song. So I feel like they could do a really great job on "Isn't She Lovely." And that song came out in the mid-'70s as well. So it would kind of fit the period of my concert. So that would be a really cool cover, I think.
Yeah, I love that song. Great song.
So before we pick our Beach Boys cover that they already did on their albums, is there any like other dream covers you would have? Like off the top of my head, I could probably think "Just Like Starting Over" by John Lennon, and I could easily see the boys singing that one. A lot of Beatles songs, but that's the first one that comes to my mind. Any other ones you guys can think of?
I mean, if we're gonna be like really chaotic, "Temporary Secretary" would be interesting because like if we're gonna just do all this crazy love use nonsense. Something by David Bowie. I just think it's such a like different style. Like I want to see like them just like rip like Joe the Lion or something, which I'll be honest with you, I was into that song for the rhythm guitar on it for like 2 weeks straight. Like that, like when he's like, "You can by God, it's Monday," slid the down the like when he sings that part, it's just the freaking rhythm guitar. I don't know if that's Robert Fripp or that's Carlos Alomar, but I was just so obsessed with it. I kept listening to that. But yeah, maybe like I just want something really crazy, like "Temporary Secretary" or something insane like that.
Yeah,
I would say the only other one that I wrote down, and this is another song that was very like Beach Boys and Beatles influence, so I feel like it would be cool to hear them do it. "Go All the Way" by the Raspberries. I'd like to hear like the Beach Boys doing the harmonies on that. That would be really cool, I feel. That would be the other main one for me. Also, I know that they did "Saturday in the Park" when they did that Chicago tour in the mid-'70s. I'd like to hear like a studio recording of that with like Carl on lead. I think that would sound really good too. So.
Speaking of Beach Boys influenced songs, I think a couple Monkey songs would be kind of cool, like like their take on like Pleasant Valley Sunday or something like that. To hear those.
"Daydream Believer" would be absolutely
Daydream
incredible.
Believer. Yeah, that's not Bruce though. Too syrupy. It has to be somebody else.
Oh my God, Bruce and "Daydream Believer" is like the perfect combo. I can just like hear.
I mean, Davy Jones already can be a little syrupy, and like I think as Justin once said, Bruce is like Davy at his most syrupy.
"Daydream Believer" and "A Homecoming Queen."
"Daydream Believer" and "A Homecoming Queen."
That song was just made for Bruce.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, syrupy vocal. It just
No,
feels
I would burn that. I wouldn't even scratch it off the record. I'd just burn the record.
you hate on Bruce too much.
Only when needed. All right, so we're gonna do covers that the Beach Boys did, and I feel like to round out my, let's be honest, I have a pretty Spectre influenced set. I'm gonna do Beach Boys today's "Do You Want to Dance." I feel like that is one hell of a song to do live, and I'd love to hear 72, 73 Dennis ripped vocals on that. I think it would just be absolutely incredible. I feel like that's arguably Dennis at his strongest vocally, and I feel like for them to like really let that song rip live, it's just a perfect mix. So, "Do You Want to Dance" in that breakdown? Oh, extend it by like 2 minutes.
So for my official cover, I was debating between two of them. I think I'm gonna go with Hushabye just because like that one I know will have some Mike lead on it because I just feel like I have to throw Mike a bone. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I think that's one of the first covers for me that they did that I really, really, really enjoy. It more so that like I feel like it stands on its own because I feel like some of their earlier covers don't really stand as much on their own. You could debate Why Do Fools Fall in Love, but I think the Frankie Lyman version is just definitive. Definitely not freaking Louie Louie. That's awful. But that's horrible. That is freaking
We
horrible.
gotta
But
go.
Hushabye, I really love that cover. I think it's very tastefully done. And this era, I think Brian's voice might be a little shrill for it, but I think he could still pull it off. But I definitely, I know Mike has some leads on it too. So definitely Hushabye for me. And it's just partially because I love it, but also to give Mike a little bone right there. In case you're wondering, the other one I was debating was I'm So Young.
That's hell. That would be a great one.
All right, so for mine, I originally had, now this one was, I feel like I was kind of cheating a little bit because they never actually finished this one, A Walk On By, but my list is already ballad heavy, so I'm going to actually go with, to give Al some more representation, I'm going to go with Cotton Fields.
I love Cotton Fields.
I think they did a great job with that cover, and I think they did a great job with it live as well. And Al has a really great lead vocal on it. Like you guys said, he was kind of like the master of covers. So I feel like what's a Beach Boys set list without like an Al cover? So that would be my Beach Boys cover.
Has to be the Red Roads version though, the country rock version, not the version on 2020.
Yeah, you could have like Ricky Fattar do that because I think he could play that kind of guitar.
The pedal steel,
yeah. Pedal steel. All right. So we're kind of getting to our encores. First of all, I want to say fuck you guys for taking a majority of the 70s stuff that I like. I was going to do Marcella. I was going to do a lot of Holland, but couldn't get any of that. So fuck you guys. That being said, I think one hell of a way to open up an encore would be with California Girls. I'm kind of surprised none of us took that one. I feel like that's a great way to open up a show, but I feel like when you're opening up an encore with that, that's how you know you mean business. So I'm taking California Girls from Summer Days and Summer Nights.
Yeah, that's a good way to open up an encore. I think another great one to open up an encore, and this is a very well-known song. This might be their most popular song on Spotify. Wouldn't It Be Nice? I think that's a great way to open up an encore with like, you have the do 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 boom. And Al usually did this one live, right? So I'll give it to Al. He's the one that usually did it. Like when Brian wasn't on tour.
Yes, Al would do the vocal, yeah.
Give it to Al. Definitely I want to highlight, like, I really want the vocals rich on this one, just because like I'm sure you've all have heard it where like you kind of take away the instruments, you just listen to the vocals, and it's just the harmonies are so rich and dense, and I want that on here. And you know what? Get that whole band out there, get the horns on there, get everything on there, just make it a giant wall of sound in the auditorium. So Wouldn't It Be Nice for me? I think it's a great way to open up this encore.
I'm gonna go with Good Vibrations. It's a crowd pleaser, one of the most popular songs, and for good reason. One of the best songs of the 60s. Obviously beautifully produced and great vocal arrangements throughout it. And they did a really good job at doing it live. It's a song that's very complex to recreate live, and they did a really good job, like in the mid 70s, doing it with Carl on lead, doing the verses and Mike's part and everything. So I think that song would really be a great crowd pleaser and a great way to open an encore. So yeah, Good Vibrations for me.
I'm picking Let's Go to Heaven in My Car with Dennis Wilson on lead vocals. Let's go to heaven in my car.
Are you being serious or is
I'm being dead fucking. Did you think I was joking?
Yeah.
No.
Kinda, yeah.
I am picking a concert I would love to see, and I am picking Let's Go to Heaven in My Car with Dennis Wilson on lead vocal.
That's
and
fine.
A 3-minute guitar solo. This is my show.
I would love to see the crowd's face during that. They
They're
just
gonna
be like,
look
what?
horrified.
You also pick like an all I want to do and just
You ain't got time for diamonds.
Can I do
And
that? Can I mash those two songs together?
What
Sure,
song?
why not? Sure.
All
why
I
not?
want to do with Let's Go to Heaven in My
Yeah,
car.
go for it, man.
Sure,
Go for it.
sure. Nobody else is gonna take
Anybody's
it.
picking those.
Nobody's gonna pick either of those. No. Others, I don't think Jake's gonna. I certainly am not picking it. So for the encore, I want to kind of keep this a little bit more up tempo. So looking at what I have on my list right now, what do I have on here that's a little bit more upbeat? Okay, fuck it, fun. Why not? Great way to close the concert. That'll probably be the very last song. It's a big hit. There's more mic representation because I already felt there wasn't enough mic on here. There you go. Give them fun. Let's do it. Let's have somebody rip that Chuck Berry influence solo, and let's just go to town. Have the whole place jumping.
All right. Well, since Riley did kind of a quirky out there pick, you know what? I'm going to do one too because I wrote down a few of those.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's do it. We're doing live Shortened Bread, the live 70. With Carl doing that real gritty lead vocal, kind of the ripping guitar. Definitely need a guitar solo in there from either Carl or Blondie as well. That song actually really did rip live. And I would recommend checking out that version if any of our listeners haven't heard it. Just type in like Shortened Bread Live 79. But I would love to hear that live. It would be such a like what the fuck moment, but it would be amazing for like a diehard fan like me to be like, holy shit, they're doing Shortened Bread. Like this is Brian's fucking song and they're doing it. So that would be my pick. Although I'm kind of cheating because it's technically a cover, I guess, because it's an old song, but
I mean, it's an old enough song that like nobody knows who originally did it. And it's like, it's fine. It's fine.
Mama's little baby love show.
All right. This won't be in my
encore, but I too quirky for me.
More quirky than Let's Go to Heaven in My Car with Dennis?
Well, both of you. I mean, I feel like mine is just very deep cut heavy. I don't think it's hella quirky.
Dude, these are you picked your show, I picked mine, and Jake will pick his.
Exactly. My show, as you can see, is very like mid-70s. So it's just like that's the era I like the best.
All right. It won't be my closer. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of rearranging, but I'm gonna pick Girl from New York City. It's one I really wish they performed live, and I'm sure they did, but I gotta find a recording of it, and I'm sure if I look, there is. But I feel like this will really rip, and especially with the live band and the chorus of California guys, I'll capitalize on that. That would rip live, especially with the rock and roll sound in the background. So that's my last pick. I'm pretty happy with what I have. I mean, I would have really liked some more Holland, Carl, and the Passion stuff, but you fuckers stole that, so it's okay. You guys knew I'd pick Holland, didn't you?
We made all the difference to you.
Fuck you.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick one that I'm like pretty sure they never did live. I think Al even complained they never did this one live, and it's actually from the same album, Girl Don't Tell Me. I think that'd be a really cool like mid-tempo. It's not gonna be the closer, but it'll probably be in between. Wouldn't it be nice and fun? Kind of like that nice little. It's like an Oreo. You have the two layers of the up tempo with the mid tempo cream in the middle. I really love that song. It's very Beatles influenced, very Ticket to Ride. I think this one I want it to be kind of like very similar to how it is on the record. It's just Carl, nobody else, just Carl on vocals. So it's like you really get to hear his vocals shine. And you kind of have like a very similar arrangement to what we had on the record. So I'm going to choose Girl Don't Tell Me. And I'm pretty sure they never sang that live because I think Al even complained they never sang that one live in that interview.
I could see him complain. I could see him complaining.
He was complaining a lot. He was pissed off in that interview.
And he probably didn't seem mad. That was like, well, they didn't play Girl Don't Tell Me live. I was really upset.
All right, so I was gonna say, since it's already been taken, I was gonna say fun, just because I feel like it's like the ultimate concert closer. But since it's been taken, and I'm gonna have to rearrange my list as well because that song was taken. I'm gonna say "Don't Worry, Baby." I think they did this song really well live. I love like the in concert 73 version where I believe Al sings the verses and then Carl sings the chorus, which is really beautiful. It's a great song. It's one of my favorite Beach Boys songs, and it's a big hit, so it'd be a crowd pleaser. And yeah, I think it's just a great track. It would be a great fit in the encore. So that's my last encore song.
All right, my personal set list, and I'm sure we'll flash this on the screen. We have, starting off the show, I Get Around, followed by Do You Want to Dance with an extended jam section in the middle, about 2-3 minutes when they do the breakdown. And then after that, you have Girl from New York City, You don't need to really let that one rip. Breakaway. Then you get into Long Promised Road with a Charles Lloyd sax solo after the guitar solo. Then you rip into All I Want to Do / Let's Go to Heaven in My Car with Dennis Wilson on lead vocal with a jam section after Let's Go to Heaven in My Car. Then we'll slow things down with Big Sur in 4/4 time with a sweet mic vocal, followed by All I Want to Do with a sweet mic vocal. Then we'll have In My Room with it just being the harmonies and a simple guitar in the background. Then Please Let Me Wonder, pretty faithful to the album version. Then a 9-minute rendition of Mona, followed by Be My Baby with 1964 Brian on lead. That's the end of the main show. And then for the encore, you have a classic set list of California Girls, Surfin' USA with an extended guitar solo, and then All Summer Long. The year is 1974. It's played at Carnegie Hall, which is a nice little concert hall rather than a giant stadium. That way, there is a bit of a more intimate setting, and you also have room for jamming. Besides the classic five, you have Ed Carter, Billy Hinchy, Ricky Fittar, potentially David Marks on a couple of the songs. Let's say he's in town, and 1964 Brian Wilson.
Okay, so for my set list, so start with the rationale. So we're gonna start with the two Blondie songs. I want Blondie and Ricky there, by the way, but Sail on Sailor and Here She Comes. Then we're gonna go into some 60s stuff. We have Hushaby and Car Crazy Cutie. Those are gonna be pretty similar to how they are on the record. We're gonna go to the Carl Wilson led Stripped Back Wonderful. Then we're gonna enter what I like to call the proggy section. So we're gonna have The Traitor with a little bit of an extended outro. We're going to have Feel Flows with a nice 2 to 3 extra minute long Moog jam with Feel Flows. We're going to have Steamboat. That's also going to have a little bit of a longer kind of breakdown, not too long though. Then we're going to go into the Dennis led Forever. That's going to be very similar to the 1971 Central Park performance. Then we're going to go into our Al Jardine led cover of Can't Take My Eyes Off You, which is then going to lead into Brian coming out and closing us off for the main portion of the show with Let Him Run Wild and I'm Waiting for the Day. After that, we have our encore, which is Wouldn't It Be Nice, followed by Girl Don't Tell Me, which is just going to be just a Carl lead, no backing vocals or anything. And then just a nice jam out, get the place jumping, fun, fun, fun. Year is 1973. Venue is Madison Square Garden. I want Blondie and Ricky there. Everybody else is who was in the Sand Touring Band in 1973.
All right, so for my concert set list, I want to open with a rocker. It'll start with Darlin'. That'll be the first track with Carl on lead. The second will be Time to Get Alone, which is more of a mid-tempo song that can kind of sound like the album version. Then we're going to do the two Pet Sounds ballads, Caroline No and Don't Talk. Honestly, for this, I don't really have a preference. It can be Carl on lead or Brian. I guess for historical accuracy, we'll go with Carl on both since I think he did a great job in the mid-70s on those songs. Then we're going to go into another rocker with Marcella. Following that, All This Is That with the late 1970s arrangement with Charles Lloyd on saxophone. Then The Night Was So Young. That can have kind of a more stripped back arrangement with just keyboard and piano, maybe some little guitar as well. Cotton Fields with Al on lead will be my 8th song. And then that's going to be followed by In the Back of My Mind with Dennis on lead. This can be kind of like mid-70s Dennis, so his voice is getting a little bit rougher, but I still think he'd sound really good on that. So In the Back of My Mind. And then God Only Knows with Carl on lead. Your Summer Dream with just Brian and just guitar, so real stripped back arrangement, just like the album version. And then the regular set list will close with the Stevie Wonder cover, Isn't She Lovely, with Carl on lead. And then the 3-song encore will be Don't Worry Baby with Al singing the verses and Carl singing the chorus, like on the in-concert version. Live version of Shortening Bread with Carl singing the lead vocal, real gritty, like on the 79 recording. And then it'll close with Good Vibrations. And that can be like the mid-70s version with Carl on lead and Mike doing his part and everything. So that's my list. And then for the details, my concert would take place, I would say 1973. Blondie and Ricky are still in the band. The venue would be the Auditorium Theater in Chicago, since that's a local venue for me, since I'm in the Chicago suburbs. The Beach Boys also actually played there in 1973, I believe in August 73. So it is a little bit historically accurate there. And then for the Beach Boys present, it would be the core 5 plus Ricky and Blondie. And then for the backing musicians, Billy Hinchy on keyboards and rhythm guitar, Ed Carter on bass, Charles Lloyd on flute and saxophone, and Carly Munoz on keyboards and piano. And that would pretty much be the details for my concert.
No Daryl Dragon?
No Gerald Dragon.
Was he still in the band in 73 or
I think it's
no, right?
72, right?
Daryl Dragon, it was either 72 or 70. I want to say he left 72. I want to say he left 72.
Jake is still punishing Daryl Dragon for his crimes against humanity with what's that one song? That one. Make it cuddle up. No, make it good. Make it good. Make it good.
Yeah, Cuddle Up had a lot of potential, just a little bit overproduced. So
Yeah, just a tad.
Any songs we're surprised didn't get picked? Like I kind of noticed we didn't do "Help Me, Rhonda."
oh
Well,
my holy crap, you're right. I didn't even write it. Oh my gosh.
That's like the
Yeah.
I was trying to go for more deep cuts on my set list, so like I tried to not write a lot of big hits. Honestly, like even the hits I did choose, I mainly just kind of pulled them out. I didn't have them on my list written. I tried to go for more like deep stuff.
once a lot of my 70s stuff was taken, I kind of decided to just like go more of like a melodic, more like the Spectre influence stuff, like some of the like Please Let Me Wonder. Obviously, Be My Baby was in my back pocket anyways. So I kind of went for more like the 64, 65 material and a couple of that with some of the like the sunflower pop stuff that could like blend in pretty well. And Long Promise Road was just a cool ass song. I mean, I picked that towards the beginning anyways. And then I figured the encore I'd just kind of go with something like pretty basic that the very least if the crowd didn't like the 9-minute version of Mona, then they would be able to enjoy a 3-song encore of the classics.
Well, one classic, one deep cut, and one God knows what that is supposed to
What
be.
what the fuck? Yeah. Riley, I'm surprised you didn't say "Be True to Your Bud" in there.
It was tempting, but
I'm surprised you didn't shit leaving this town. I'm surprised you didn't pick that one.
well, once you took Here She Comes, I could kind of, and you're like, oh, well, I'm picking all the 70s stuff. I was like, well, you leaving this town wouldn't fit in with Mona and Please Let Me Wonder super well. So I was like,
yeah, my whole thing was I understand this is a fantasy thing, but I tried to keep it at least semi-realistic. So I told Jake earlier, I said anything that's from before 70, anything from after 73 is not going to be on my list because it just didn't exist.
I also have both All I Want to Do and All I Want to Do, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And the ones that I always clarify because first of all, I never remember which one is which, and second of all, I always clarify the one from Sunflower or the one from 2020.
The one with the hooker and the one without the hooker.
Some songs that I wrote down like as like considerable ones, in case you guys took a bunch of mine. I wrote down She Knows Me Too Well. That one I was considering just because that's one of my favorite ballads as well. And they never did it live, I don't think. Surf's Up, Girls on the Beach, the Let the Wind Blow, the in-concert version. I Can Hear Music. For Dennis, I wrote Lady. I feel like that would be a cool one to hear live. I think they might have did that one once or twice, but that was it. Till I Die, Match Point, because I love it. You and I was the one Dennis solo song that I wrote from Pacific Ocean Blue. I'd really like to hear that one live. And then Still I Dream of It. And for a Summer in Paradise representation, Lahaina Aloha would be a cool song to hear live, I feel like. But those were the kind of like my backup songs in case you guys took a bunch of mine. But
if we pushed it to about like 17, 18 songs, I probably would have had Get You Back on there. Sung by Dennis too. I feel like that would have been a good one for the encore to kind of put in between like California Girls and some of the other ones. Maybe open up the encore. I don't know.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm pretty happy. And I mean, I Get Arounds and I got Please Let Me Wonder, and I got Let's Go to Heaven in my car. So I feel like I kind of balance things out pretty well, and I got some of my favorites in there.
All right. Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this 27th episode of Good Timin. Hope you all enjoyed the show. I had a lot of fun putting together my fantasy concert set list. And hopefully those of you listening enjoyed hearing all of our thoughts and discussions. We'd also love to hear from you guys on which of our set lists and concerts that you would most love to see live. And we'd also love to see your own fantasy set list as well in the comments. So be sure to leave some comments, and we'll probably open a poll as well where you can vote on our set list. So we'll let you guys know how that goes once we have the results. As always, if you like this podcast and want to hear more, feel free to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. We greatly appreciate the support as it motivates us to make more episodes in the future. I just wanted to mention that shortly before we recorded this episode, we managed to hit 200 subscribers on YouTube, which is really amazing. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you who have listened to and supported the podcast over the past year. It really means a lot to us. So thank you again for all the support. Also, as one last reminder, the Good Timin podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So there's plenty of different places to listen and keep up with the show. So thank you again, everybody, for listening, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.